Hello and welcome to this Google Hangout on Air. I am AJ D'Amico and today we will be covering open source. Here is an overview of what we will be covering. First, we will look at what is open source code, and how it works. Then we will cover some benefits of open source while looking at 5 reasons open source is good for businesses. I will first answer the question, what is open source? Open source generically refers to a program in which the source code is available to the general public for use and/or modification of its original design, free of charge. While it was originated in the context of computer software development, today the term open source designates a set of values, what we call the open source way. Open source projects, or initiatives are those that embrace and celebrate open exchange, collaborative participation, and community development. Now let's look at the question, what is open source code? Open source code is the part of software that most computer users don't ever see. It's the code computer programmers can manipulate to change how a piece of software, a program, or maybe an application works. Now that we have a better understanding about what open source is, let's learn how it works. Programmers who have access to a computer's program source code can improve the program by adding features to it or fixing parts that don't always work correctly. Open source code is typically created as a collaborated effort in which programmers improve upon the code and share the changes within the community. Since open source is available to the general public for use and/or modification of its original design free of charge, this allows anyone to edit these programs. Now on to the benefits of open source. I came up with 5. The first benefit is it's free. The second is it's open to the public. The third, it has fast improvements. The fourth is that it's bug-free. And the fifth is that open source is not concerned with financial gain. Now let's take a deeper look into all 5 of these benefits. Let's look at the first benefit. Why is free a good benefit? Because when creating private software, it can be very expensive. The prices can be outrageous. Open source allows for it to be free, which can lead people to create software because it won't cost them anything. Now on to the second benefit. Why is open a benefit? Because open source was created as a collaborated effort in which programmers improve upon the code and share changes within the community. Being open to the public has made all of this possible. The third benefit is that open source has fast improvements. Improving the software happens at a much quicker rate than through traditional development channels of commercial software because the information is shared through the open source community and more people have a chance to edit and fix all the mistakes. Open source's fourth benefit is being bug-free. Since so many different people are improving upon the source, it will have less bugs than most other sources. The last benefit of open source is that it isn't concerned with financial gain. No one is pressured by big companies to get something done. Programmers can do what they want on their own time, which leads to less mistakes and a better product. Now let's take a look at 5 reasons open source is good for business. The first reason is because security. Second, quality. Third, customizability. Fourth, freedom and flexibility. And fifth, cost. Security in open source is good for business. With so many different developers and users working on improving the security of open source software, the chances of a hack are slim. This is very beneficial to most businesses. The second reason that open source is good for business is because of its quality. An open source software package created by thousands of developers is much better than a software created by a handful of developers. Customizability is good for business because business users can take your software and tweak it to suit their needs. This allows businesses to get what they want and do it in a cost-effective manner. Next is freedom and flexibility, both very good for business. Freedom allows companies to have programs without being locked into contracts, while flexibility, much like freedom, companies don't have to upgrade their programs as often as they would if they were locked into contracts. Programs will continue to run just as well on old software. And the last reason open source is good for business is because of the cost. Open source is free. Why pay for software and virus protection when you can just use open source for free? Here are my sources, and thank you for listening to my presentation on open source.